not. Think of the prestige.
No.
Think of the respect.
No.
Think of the Tony.
Hello, all you theater lovers, both out and proud and on the DL, and welcome back to Broadway Breakdown, a podcast discussing the history and legacy of American theater's most exclusive address, Broadway. I am your host, Matt Koplik, the least famous and most opinionated of all the Broadway podcast hosts, and today is actually a two-part day. The end of this episode will be an interview, which we will talk about later, but right now, right here, in front of us today, is a dear friend of the podcast, a dear friend of mine. You might know him, you might not know him, but after today, you'll never forget him. Please welcome back Robbie Rozelle. Hi, Robbie.
Fucking Zell.
Robbie fucking Zell.
Which, honestly, Diva Robbie is my Zell, so if anybody wants to slide in, that's great.
I mean, should I just fully say your union name, which is Robbie Rozelle, and then...
What union? I make cast albums. I get paid with Chipotle gift cards.
Listen, in some circles, that's a union.
Sure. Just buckle up, because who knows where today is going to go.
Exactly.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, love. It's 10 a.m. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? So, Robbie, today is going to be more sort of a freewheeling. When is it not freewheeling? But fun day for us of we are doing a little bit of Tony trivia and then kind of discussing what we can learn from said Tony trivia as we head into this upcoming Tony Awards race. So I gave you very little actual guidelines.
So little.
But that's also kind of how I rolls is. Yeah,
you don't give a packet normally, but truly
we've started doing packets, but for Tony shit, but for deep dives and stuff. For
sure.
Tony shit, just like, I don't know, just come on and we're going to talk about all of it. And then,
but we're going to talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours when it's a podcast, just an audiobook. But exactly. Here we are. So you gave me precious little to go on, and here we are.
Yeah. But that's sort of, I think, what the beauty of what today is us looking at the trivia that interests us and what those conversations can pertain to. You buckle up, and buckle in.
Yeah.
So, okay, Robbie.
Yes.
You're looking over of Best Score and Best Book winners at the Tony Awards. What has been some interesting trivia to come along your path?
Oh, gosh. So I sort of went back to, I started at 2008 and moved forward, looking at musicals that, like, I was looking for, like, key indicators of, like, well, this is interesting, blah, blah, blah. Do you know, I'm going to throw a question to you right at the front. What composer has worked on multiple Tony-nominated Best Musicals, but not as a composer of a said musical?
What composer has worked on multiple Tony-nominated Best Musicals, but not as the composer?
Correct.
I'm going to say Tom Kitt.
You are correct.
Great.
Because he is the king of the jukebox.
Yeah.
Do you know the 4 musicals that have been nominated for Best Musical that he was either the arranger or orchestrator of, but did not write?
One was SpongeBob, right? He did do SpongeBob?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is between 2008 and present day.
Yeah.
And we're looking mostly at jukeboxes.
Yeah.
Did he work on American Idiot?
He sure did.
Okay, great. I'm two for
2 out of 4. Ain't bad.
Oh God. Oh jeez. Oh Lord. Oh my. I'm running through these right now. No. Okay, I'm gonna ask for one quick hint. Is one of them a COVID gas leak?
Yes.
Music? Okay. Is it Jagged Little Pill?
It sure is.
Okay, so that's 3. And I can't think of the 4th.
The 4th nominated was Hell's Kitchen.
Okay. So when it comes to Tom Kitt as your arranger, almost guaranteed a Best Musical nomination, not guaranteed yet a winner.
Maybe, because he also did Head Over Heels, not nominated.
Yeah.
He also did he's like the king of them. I'm looking at other ones, so sorry. Everyday Rapture, which is I guess technically a jukebox musical but not nominated.
Yeah.
His sort of all over the map. It's fascinating to me. He's fascinating to me.
He is. I mean, he's got a wonderful ear, and he's one of those people where I think he's a very good composer, but I actually also think that his biggest gift is his versatility as an arranger and being able to make a jukebox show sound like a cohesive whole. I mean, that's kind of the brilliance of what he did with SpongeBob. Of that's a score written
Yeah.
by 90,000 different people.
He can pull all the strings, tie them together, and make it sound like it's of a piece.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
Yeah.
we should do a revival of No Strings and have Tom Kitt do the arrangement of it to include strings.
It would just be
Eh?
strings.
It would just be strings. Mm-hmm. All strings is what it's called now. That's fascinating. While looking at these best score winners and these best book winners, have you
Mhm.
seen a pattern in regards to wins for either category in relation to best musical?
So, yes, interestingly, uh, hold on, 1, 2. I'm looking at best score winners that did not win best musical.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have won best score, but not best musical in the last, what are we looking at? 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
which is very strange. There is a year, however, where only plays were nominated,
Yes.
which that's part of the reason. Next to Normal won Best Score, also Tom Kitt, but did not win Best Musical. Newsies won Best Score, but not Best Musical. Christmas Carol, like we said, play won Best Score, not Best Musical. Six won Best Score, not Best Musical. And Subs, same thing. But generally, your best score is taking home Best Musical, generally.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting when something wins best score but doesn't win best musical because like what's that doing? You know what I mean? How can your score be the
Mm-hmm.
best? But I guess because of overall production,
I
um,
think production definitely plays a part into it. And sometimes, I mean, like, I think it's more interesting when a show is nominated for best score and like nothing else, or very few things after that, like Bridges of Madison County or A Women on the Verge.
sure,
Because that's one of those things where you listen to the album and you go, oh, there's such great material here. And then you see it on stage, and clearly nominators are like, it
not
works
so
better as a
much.
listening experience. Yeah.
Yes, but Bridges, Jen's Guide won best musical over Bridges, and it also won best book.
Hmm.
It's just what a weird in looking through these, I was sort of comparing this year to the year Memphis won everything
Hmm.
in terms of just like
Because
uh,
somebody, to quote Robbie Rozelle, somebody had to.
so yeah, somebody had to, and like I guess there was no Lightning Thief this year, so it could have just be all plays.
Mm-hmm. Memphis is the only musical of that category that has an original score. Everything else is jukebox. And
Yeah.
the thing that we've mentioned a bit on the podcast before is jukebox musicals so rarely win.
Hmm.
When they have, it's either been like COVID, so it's Moulin Rouge, Jersey
Sure.
Boys, where it was just such a phenomenon that like it couldn't not win. Drowsy Chaperone put up a big old fight, but ultimately, like Jersey Boys by that point had been running for like 9 months. It was such a behemoth. And
Right.
then
But
Contact,
Memphis that year was also the year of Addams Family, which is
Mhm.
the most produced musical in high schools now.
Yes.
God bless.
Although, in fairness to the Tonys, the version that's produced is a updated version of what was on Broadway.
Correct. Hmm. Can we talk about the Pulitzer and what the Pulitzer has to do? Like in
A
like
lot.
we talk about you talk a lot. I'm using the royal we like I'm on Broadway Breakdown. You talk a
Hmm.
lot about other wars being precursors, and um, do you think the Pulitzer plays a part in that?
Yes and no. The truth is that up until last year, it really didn't. I think in the last 20 years, so like from
Hmm.
2006 to now,
Yeah,
Angel,
three musicals have won.
three musicals have won, two of which went on to win Best Musical.
Yes.
Uh, I believe Clybourne Park. I mean, I could also look this up. Clybourne Park, Purpose, and August Osage County. I think those might be the only Pulitzer winners for drama in the last 20 years to go on to win Best Play.
Mm.
I'm almost positive. Harpus.
And maybe Liberation this year. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I do ultimately think Liberation will win. But yeah, I mean, before, basically in the earlier part of the 21st century, it wasn't a guarantee, but it was a really good indicator that you could win because you had Proof, you had I Am My Own Wife, you had Doubt, and usually the Pulitzer, like I feel like if you win Best Play, looking at Pulitzers in the past, if you win Best Play, you'll most likely be nominated for the Pulitzer, but not always necessarily win. Whereas, like, that's more of a guarantor for the Pulitzer, more so than the Pulitzer being a guarantor for Best Play. But I feel like the tide is kind of turning now because for plays in the last 15 years, it was sort of like, you had Fat Ham, you had English, you had Cost of Living, Between Riverside and Crazy, Sweat, and those all went on to get a Best Play nomination but not win. And then last year, Oh Mary was nominated but didn't win, and Purpose won. And I was like, I mean, that's kind of how this has been going for a while of you're the finalist for the Pulitzer, you win Best Play, but then Purpose ended up winning. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe the Pulitzer's becoming a guarantor again for your Best Play,
Sure. Yeah.
But that was a long way to answer you.
Through
I'm
the
sorry.
musical lens. No. I was truly only looking at it through the musical lens, where Next to Normal, Hamilton, and Strange Loop were nominated or won the Pulitzer. Next to Normal, as you know, did not win Best Musical. It's just because musicals so rarely win the Pulitzer. I guess it's not so much an indication, but it's just interesting to me that it's more of a precursor than, I guess, other awards. I don't know why.
It looks like Next to Normal won the Pulitzer after the Tony Awards. It looks like they won in May of 2010, or sorry, April of 2010. I wonder, so I wonder if they had won in May of 2009 or April of 2009, if that would have
won Best Musical?
If that could have given them a bigger push to Best Musical, because there was a late in the game swell of support for Next to Normal, but similar to Drowsy Chaperone, it's one of those things where, like, I think the runway was just a little too short to really build up a good case for them to win. Like, by that point, Billy Elliot had been sort of running the table for the better part of a year, and it just sort of became super inevitable. And if Next to Normal maybe had opened a month earlier and could have been eligible for the Pulitzer of that year, that would have given them another month of fan support. They could have won the Pulitzer that April, and then that would have built up to their winning in June. But this is the kind of butterfly effect, Robbie, that you can't play God, because who knows what would have happened.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Maybe we would have had a coronavirus 10 years earlier because of all this.
Oh my God.
I know. Oh my God.
What do you have for me?
Well, okay, so here's a fun thing for you. Okay, I'll go easy first and do musical, but when it comes to Best Director, in the last, let's say of this century, how many off the top of your head can you name who have won Best Director of Musical that wasn't tied to a Best Musical winner or a Best Revival of a Musical winner?
That's fascinating.
Because it exists, but it's more common pre-21st century than post-21st century.
Sure. Christopher Ashley for Come From Away.
There's one more big one, or two more big ones, actually, I should say.
I'm gonna get there. I swear to you.
I can see your eyes going back in time.
Yeah, truly. John Rando for Urinetown?
That's another one. And then there's one more. There's another John for Sondheim.
John Doyle.
Yeah, for Sweeney.
Oh, right. Sweeney did not win
They did not
Okay.
win revival. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
actually considered a big upset because Sweeney
Yeah.
was considered such a lock to win.
Mm-hmm.
And when they
Mm-hmm.
won director and orchestrations, everyone was like, "Well, here we go, the
Yeah.
Triple Crown." And then Pajama Game pulled up a major surprise. And yeah, so that's something that I always talk about. Of it's not uncommon, especially again if you look at like the late 80s, there are more of those best director of musical winners that are not correlated with the best musical or best revival.
Mm-hmm.
There's also exceptions to all of that, like Matthew Bourne wins for Swan Lake, but Swan Lake wasn't nominated for revival because no one was really quite sure what to make of that.
Sure, of course.
And if it had been eligible for revival, I think it probably would have won. And then George C. Wolfe wins for Bring It to Noise, Bring It to Funk over Michael Greif for Rent, which is one of those awards where it's like
Michael Greif, who somehow just can't.
somehow just
He's been
can't. Well,
nominated 5 times. Yeah.
yeah, there's usually a reason. Like I think with Bring It to Noise, similar to Christopher Ashley for Come From Away, like that was so clearly the runner up of the year, while the big sort of pop culture juggernaut of Rent and Dear Evan Hansen wins. It's like, well, we will acknowledge your work on a musical we like a great deal, but we just can't quite bring ourselves to vote for best musical.
Yeah. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on legacy wins?
I think that they're not completely real. Like, I don't think someone wins on legacy alone. There has to be one or two other elements to go along with it. I think legacy can kind of, for Tony's, give you that little extra push. Legacy wins used to be a bigger thing in the Oscars back in the day. They're less so now. Like, I know people talk about Stephanie J. Block winning for Share Show sort of being like she's been nominated a bunch. We like her. This is sort of like a career win. And that's partially true, but also it helped that Stephanie J. Block was playing a real person, a real iconic person. So there was also a
Mhm.
metric to her performance of how much does she look and sound like Cher, which helps
Sure.
voters a lot. Yeah. And then I would also argue like she didn't really have major competition that year to challenge her. Her biggest challenge probably was Beth Level for the Prom, but as we learned that year, like the Prom wasn't really liked enough for Beth to win. Like if the Prom had also won score or if they had won book that year, I think Beth would have had a better shot. But it was sort of a show where it's like it had its fans, but just not enough in the Tony committee. I'm trying to think of anyone else who I would call their win like a
Kelly.
legacy win.
I would call
Kelly.
Kelly's win a legacy win for sure.
But also you have to, the thing about that is, again, like it's tied to she's in the best revival winner and is in a role that has a history of winning and being
Sure.
nominated. So
But
like I think we're on the same page here. Like it
performance.
adds to it, but I don't think that alone is the reason why somebody wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because in my mind, David Yazbek's Tony Award for The Band's Visit
Mm-hmm.
is a legacy win. That is, to me, not his best score
No.
by a mile.
I think I would view more of a legacy win like Julie Stein for Hallelujah Baby, you know? Where
Sure. Sure.
where it's like objectively not his best score, but also
Where you
similar to,
say should have been Gypsy.
yeah,
Mhm.
or Funny Girl, and like similar to
Yeah.
Yazbek with Band's Visit, though, like that's the best musical winner, so it's very easy to just tie it into there. What would you have
Mhm.
given SpongeBob best score over Band's Visit that year, Robbie?
SpongeBob is certainly the score I go back to more.
Mm-hmm.
So likely yes. I think that's more an issue though, because there were so many people, every song was assigned to a different person.
Yeah.
And so that's a great question. What else was nominated that season?
I think it was also Frozen and Mean Girls. Yeah.
Maybe Mean Girls. Band's Visit was not for me,
Mm-hmm.
I like to say, but yeah.
Not a fan
Okay.
of Omar Sharif, I see.
No.
For me, I think Band's Visit is probably the winner of that season, while also agreeing with you it's not Yazbek's best.
Okay.
But also Yazbek had the misfortune before Band's Visit of sort of every time he was nominated, there was always just sort of the undeniable option right next to
Juggernaut.
him. Yeah.
Sure.
Producers Juggernaut, Light in the Piazza is this like epic avant-garde score. Who Women on the Verge loses to Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon is a huge juggernaut. Women on the Verge to close by that point. I mean, that's actually something to also talk about is closed shows and how often they can win. So speaking of performances, without looking it up, Robbie Rozelle, because we're going to keep it to musicals for a second. Can you name for me the last time a performance in a closed musical won a Tony Award?
The last time a performance
In a closed
musical won a Tony Award? Performance. Ooh, that's so key. Was it Donna Murphy and Passion? Had that closed?
No, Passion had opened. It closed like 4 months later. It's
4
a
months
little
later.
later than Passion.
Great. Okay.
Post Passion, pre Piazza. PPP.
The triple P. A performance in a.
Robbie, pride's coming right on up. We need a triple P.
It sure is. No, I can't.
It was Martin Short in Little Me.
Oh, right. Talk about an undeniable juggernaut. And One Over Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Brent Carver.
Another closed P.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was, and that actually is sort of a bit of a makeup win too with Martin Short, because not that he was going to win for Goodbye Girl, but the whole narrative of Martin Short and the Goodbye Girl was the show blows, but like he proves himself to be a true musical theater leading man. Now let's put him in, now let's put him in something that's right for him. Does promises at encores, really does well with that. That was going to transfer. And then that kind of fell apart. And so Little Me, while people were mixed on that revival in general, he was considered sort of undeniable. And him winning was sort of like a foregone conclusion at that point, because the only person who was in a running musical in that category was Tom Wopat for Annie Get Your Gun. And if you're voting for Frank Butler and Annie Get Your Gun, chances are your Annie Get Your Gun is not gunning.
But somehow won Best Actress. Yikes.
Well, again, was running.
Yeah, over wonderful Carolee Carmillo.
I think even Bernadette Peters knows it should have been Carolee, but it was sort of Bernadette's show was running. Bernadette is very beloved. And like Bernadette was fine in Annie Get Your Gun. I think everyone
aggressively fine.
Everyone expected a train wreck, and she worked very hard to be aggressively fine. And we were like, you know what, Bernie? Fine. There you go. But like, Bernadette Peters for me is sort of like the Tony Awards version of Renee Zellweger. I love her, and it sucks that like of her 2 wins, one of them is like one of her most mediocre performances, and I wish that they were for her better performances, but I'm happy she has the 2 Tonys.
God bless. What are your thoughts on plays being nominated for Best Score over musicals?
It depends on what the score is. I'm so happy when it's stereophonic. I think that's deserved.
I agree.
I think Janine Tesori being nominated for 12th Night rules. I love that.
Always.
There are other ones where I'm like, I call bullshit a little bit. Like, I call a little bit of bullshit on Joe Turner's Come and Gone. I call a little bit of bullshit on 2010 with Enron and Fences. But, or is that
what would you sub out this year?
I would sub out Joe Turner for Queen of Versailles, which is not a fully successful score, but is a more of a score. And I do think that, and I do think there is stuff in there. I think far worse scores than Queen of Versailles have been nominated in the past. I think Queen of Versailles just has such a stank on it, which is not undeserved, but I mean, the Dead Lizard song. Absolutely. But like, we fucking nominated Aspects of Love, Robbie. We did that.
No, it was a different time.
We were totally okay with
you. Were alive.
I was barely alive when that show was on Broadway. I was like 2 months too young to be Michael Ball's love interest in Aspects of Love when I was born.
You guys, if you haven't seen Matt live, doing Broadway Breakdown live, one of the funniest things that I've seen this year is him recreating a tab version of Aspects of Love with Todd Watapane, Amy Jo Jackson, puppets, and Amy Jo singing a duet with herself using a compact mirror. It is better than anything I saw on Broadway this season.
Oh, thank you, baby. And her making out with herself in the compact mirror.
Yeah. It was unhinged in the best way. And that's just an organic plug for people to see you.
Thank you. Yes, now's a good time to tell you all that June 1st is our next live show, our last live show for the season. We're going to take a hiatus and come back sometime in the fall for our next live show. But yes, June 1st. And there are going to be prizes, everybody. If you partake in the Tony trivia at the live show, you could win either 2 house seats to the Lost Boys or 2 tickets to the Heated Rivalry unauthorized parody musical.
Oh, I'm seeing that on Friday.
Well then, Robbie, you could win tickets to the Lost Boys.
Which I saw.
Well, you could see it again, or Heated Rivalry again.
Oh, we could see Boop.
We could see Boop. We could see Boop. So I feel like I mentioned this a little bit before, but speaking of Boop, I deluded myself for about a minute into thinking Jasmine Amy Rogers could win for Boop last year, recorded that prediction, finished the episode, and by the moment I hit upload, I regretted that prediction on mic, but it was too late at that point.
God, she's good though.
Well, that's the thing. I got wrapped up in the fact that she was so good, and there was this real aura around the investment of a new leading lady on Broadway. But the truth was that Boop was just not good enough or well liked enough for that to happen. I think people were it was like a halfway point between Cher Show and Millie of like, we have our new Sutton Foster leading lady. And yeah, like the show's not nominated like Cher Show, but like Cher Show also was nominated, but like Stephanie J. Block, we could still give it to her. And I think I mistook those situations with the Michaela Diamond and Parade situation of like, no, your nomination is your blue chip. This is your investment. Now take it and make us not regret this, and you will win the next time.
Yeah, for sure. And who do you think that is this year?
Whose nomination is like the blue chip?
Is the win. Yeah.
Well, so it has to be somebody who's, if not fully new, on the newish side, young. So I think if we're looking in the leading performances, I think that's kind of Sam Tutty, but that's tricky because he's English, so he's not going to have a lot of opportunities to be here. Possibly Ali in Lost Boys. I feel like his nomination is sort of a bit of a blue chip. And whatever his next project is if he can lay it up with maybe a leading role in a strong show that's not Tommy, then that can be a nomination and then potentially a win. Trying to think about leading actress, because ultimately, like, really none of those women in leading actress this year are new on the scene. Like Christiane Pitts has led 2 different Broadway shows before, 2 Strangers. Sarah Chase has been in a bunch of shows. Stephanie Shu's a fucking Oscar nominee. She's not new. Sure.
New. But she is, because she doesn't do musicals all that often. Yeah. I think Sarah Chase is like, good for you. Your nomination is your win.
Yeah, it's that's something. The nomination is the win. I don't look at Sarah Chase's nomination as an investment in her just yet, so much as it's sort of like, I don't know, it's like it's a good boost for her. I think that
it's the Robin Herder nomination.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I do want a T-shirt though that says Stephanie Shu is not brand new.
You do love a perfect rhyme. If you go see Broadway Breakdown live, you will hear all of the perfect rhymes of one Matt Koplik. It's something I compliment him on, even though I don't like him very much.
Yes, Robbie comes up to me after every show with a face that could melt steel. Usually looks me dead in the eyes, so furious with me, and he'll say something along the lines of, "Your fucking rhymes." And it's how I know I did a good job, because my mom will be happy, but Robbie will be mad at me, and I'll be thrilled. I will say one of my favorite rhymes I did this past show, just to, guys, again, promote myself. But the opening number began with "Crime of the Century" from Ragtime, and it's the "You put me on a velvet swing and made me wear well hardly anything, ruined at the age of 15." And I made it, "I'm known for hot takes, small and grand, and also trashing Finding Neverland. Hated it since 2015." And I was very proud of being able to include the 15.
Len Aaron's wishes.
She wishes. When I interview her, which I think is happening, I will inform her that I took her lyric and I made it better. Listen, your lyrics are great and historically fun, Lynn, but they don't trash Finding Neverland, and mine do, so.
Yeah.
Make Them Hear
Hilarious.
You would be better if we could include a dig on Paradise Square as well, but that's for another show.
Where are we? We were talking about trivia
I
and
don't know.
Tonys.
The sun comes up and I think about you. So
That's normal.
it's almost next to normal. But no, I'd asked you about performances in closed musicals.
Right.
Martin
Yes,
Short
yes,
was
yes.
the last one. We
Yes.
have had more performances in closed plays win in the last couple of years. Most recently, I would say Carrie Young in Pearly Victorious, Frances
She
Ju
was so
in
wonderful.
Yellowface. She was. They both were. I mean, to be fair, both Frances Ju in Yellowface and Carey Young and Pearly Victorious had PBS broadcasts of their shows come out around the time of the Tonys, which I do think helped their case.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, recency bias is a thing. It's hard for a lot of voters to look back on 6 months ago and go, oh, yes, I did really love that performance. I have to remember that excitement and drum it back up again. It helps when you have a little bit of a, what's I'm looking for? Testament to it via filmed media. But I mean, that's something that I think people are looking at with like Leslie Manville this year for Oedipus, of like her big hurdle is her show is closed. But I would also argue she is one of 3 closed nominees. And thus
Mm-hmm.
I view her more as a Martin Short of like, I don't think they're giving it to Kelly or Rose for Fallen Angels. I think their nominations are the wins. So it's like, okay, of our 3
Mm-hmm.
closed leading ladies, Liberation's probably winning, which could boost Susanna Flood a bit, or they can go, we're already honoring Liberation. Rather, I should say,
Yeah.
I don't think voters look at it as the royal we like I do. I think they're going, I'm already honoring Liberation. I liked Oedipus, or even like, I was mid on Oedipus, but I loved Leslie Manville. Here we go.
If you were guessing, like looking at score and book for this season, like where are people leaning?
Jesus Christ. Well, actually, that's the other thing you were asking was about score and play. So before I answer that, can I ask
Oh,
you,
yeah.
what are your thoughts about plays getting nominated for best score?
I understand it sometimes, and sometimes I go, okay. Stereophonic made absolute sense. Talk about an album I go to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But like Angels in America getting a nom or To Kill a Mockingbird,
Mm-hmm.
what? Okay, why? Or this season with 2 plays, that's like weird in a
It is
season
weird.
that had musicals,
Mm-hmm.
even though they really bent around their own rules to like get Schmigadoon in there as a score nominee. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't say best original score of a musical. It's just best original score. And so,
Mm-hmm.
but it does give the same sort of we're shutting out Victor, Victoria, and Big vibes of the
Mm-hmm.
90s. And to what end?
Yeah. I
But I
think
guess part of it is the Tony Awards. Are you an arbiter of taste, or are you there to sell tickets to the thing?
that's the tricky thing is that what makes it a fun award show to figure out is it's a mixture, because not every voter is thinking about tickets. And some voters are truly just going with, this is what I liked the most. This is what I thought was good. And then there
Sure.
are voters who are like, this is what I think is going to help sell Broadway. And it's sort of, you can't really lean one way or the other when predicting, because it'll never really work out. The myth always of what's going to sell on the road, that's what's going to win best musical, because of the quote
Hmm.
unquote road vote. And I know we've talked about it on this podcast a lot. We've debunked it already, but 10% of the voters, I think, are road presenters, maybe a little less than that. And their vote only really makes an impact if it's down to the wire with the best musical nominee. And even then, like, you have to ask yourself, as a road presenter, am I going to vote for the thing that I think is going to sell like gangbusters, or is it the thing that I need a best musical win so I can sell it? Everyone's
Right.
going to have a little difference of opinion, but every time someone goes, oh, that show's going to tour really well, so it's going to win, that ends up not being the thing that happens.
Hmm.
So this ties now into your question about this year for best book and best score. When the nominations came out, I was convinced it was a 3-way race amongst Two Strangers, Schmigadoon, and Lost Boys. And now I'm kind of feeling like it's a 2-way race between Schmigadoon and Lost Boys. And it's ultimately that neither show has a large enough body of vociferous support that I can hear in like the voting community, so much as that like both of them have a solid base. And then it's just like, okay, which one has 6 votes more?
Hmm.
Two Strangers could ultimately still win. I know a lot of people appreciate how the original component of it all. They find it charming. But also, I mean, maybe I'm in my own bubble. Maybe you're hearing differently. I just feel like people aren't talking about Two Strangers as much as they were 6 months ago.
Yeah, because everything comes in April now. And
Yeah.
so that was, we saw it together. That's a fall show.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of fallen out unless Sam Tutty pulls through,
Yeah.
because he's so charming.
He is. And I think I've said before, like, if anyone is going to be Joshua Henry, it is going to be Sam Tutty. I don't actually predict that happening, but
I don't
that's like
either.
my one. Well, like, it's my one sort of like, 0.1% chance. Like, if the mosquito came down and hit the paperweight in the wrong way, so it shifted the weight just enough that it knocked something off its axis, like, it's one of those things where it's so unlikely, but it's not impossible just because everything's a possibility.
Hmm.
The thing, Two Strangers, I feel like was trying to go for the maybe happy ending model, which maybe happy ending is the first Best Musical winner probably since Gentleman's Guide to genuinely like hold out since Winter and have it work out for them, which is beautiful for maybe happy ending. But when it happened, I was a little annoyed because like every time a win happens that sort of changes everybody's perception, there becomes the new narrative. So like the road vote myth started because when Avenue Q beat Wicked, the
Sure.
narrative was they lied to road presenters and said they were going to tour and ended up doing Vegas. And so like the road presenters were the people who really like got Avenue Q over the edge, which is possible. But again, like could just be a matter of Avenue Q won by 45 votes. And those 45 were the road presenters. And then Gentleman's Guide opens in the fall to great reviews and basically struggles, isn't like on death's door, but is struggling throughout the
Oh, it
winter.
really, like, I saw it for free 7 times
Yeah.
because my best friend ran that theater and they were struggling. Like, they were papering to just get it through to the awards.
Yeah. I mean, it's you look at the grosses for Gentleman's Guide between, I guess it opened in October or November up until April when May when the nominations came out. And you see like holidays it does well, and then like January, February, it's like really on life support. March, it's slowly kind of
Hmm.
picking up a little bit, and then April's when it really explodes. But because of that, and then like it wins and it recoups and it goes on the road. And so people start to think, oh, like if you're the little show that could, like you can open in the fall and like we'll keep you running because like we think it, like because Gentleman's Guide did it, why can't we?
Hmm.
And that was never a reality again until literally 11 years later with maybe a
Yeah.
happy ending. Like, it was a full 11 years in between the two where the same narrative happened. And so when maybe happy ending one, I was like, oh God, some other like small show that could is going to open in the fall and lose millions of dollars in the hope that they're going to win Best Musical. And it looked like Two Strangers was going to do the same thing. The difference between Two Strangers, maybe happy ending, and Gentleman's Guide is while Two Strangers got solid reviews, it did not get the raves that maybe happy ending got and Gentleman's Guide got. And in
Yeah.
particular, Two Strangers' reviews is actually kind of on equal footing to all the other Best Musical nominees. And so it's not like they can claim we're the best reviewed musical of the year. They're not. They don't have the most nominations of the year. Like it's just, it is a show that some people love, some people like, some people are mixed on, and it's now kind of getting lost in the shuffle. So to answer your earlier question, I think if Two Strangers wins score or book, then I think that that's an indication of it winning musical. It has to win one of those, though. I think the moment Schmigadoon wins book, that has best musical, and I think the moment I'm contradicting myself here because I'm like they each have to win one of these, but like if Lost Boys wins score, I think that gives it its path to best musical. If Schmigadoon wins book, that gives it a path to best musical. Two Strangers has to win one or the other. Like if Lost Boys won book for some reason, it would throw
Hmm.
me, but I wouldn't. That would not make me go, oh, now they're winning best musical. In the same way, like if Schmigadoon won score, it would throw me, but
Hmm.
I wouldn't go, oh, you're winning best musical. I think Schmigadoon needs to win book, and right now that's
Yeah.
kind of because the majority of the energy I'm hearing is Schmigadoon. I think that they're the front runner now for book, which means Two Strangers could win score, and that would be a thing.
And that would thing.
That would be an event that happens.
Listen, there are scores that have won where I've gone, huh, you know,
Yeah.
but there are not many shows that win. I mean, there's only one musical that's won Best Musical with no writing awards in the past 15 that I looked at, which is Moulin Rouge. Did not win Best Book.
And Outsiders didn't win.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So
Yeah.
sorry.
But Outsiders did
But
win director, and so did Moulin Rouge.
there's one musical that won both writing awards, but not Best Musical, which is Suffs.
Right. So speaking of John Rando for a second, I remember that was
Sure.
when Suffs won book and score, but then not Best Musical. I remember there were people who do not know their history. This is why trivia matters. And they go, how could that happen? And I go, it's actually happened twice before this century. We have
Mhm.
Drowsy Chaperone won score and book, and then Urinetown won score and book. But to add insult to injury, Urinetown also won director. And so that's
Yeah.
like, you can't even, with Urinetown, they can't even claim like, oh, well, the production just wasn't enough for us. It's like, well, you clearly like the production too. So
You liked what was on stage. It won all those things. Make
yeah,
it make sense. What won over Urinetown?
Millie.
Was that Millie? Right. Which, of course, that was right after 9/11.
Mhm.
And so people were, I'm not laughing at 9/11, but like people were looking for joy and a good time. So that's where Millie was. Millie
Yeah,
met the
no, Millie.
moment.
Yeah, Millie was an old-fashioned musical theater comedy that was also a celebration of New York City. It had the narrative of A Star Is Born with Sutton Foster. It made people feel good. Like Urinetown, people I think were saying like this is objectively the better musical, but Millie is the show I need right now.
Honestly, that could be the reason Schmigadoon wins. It's the musical to meet the moment. You know, I saw everything this season. Um, and honestly, that's probably where I would give it to. I think I liked Two Strangers a little more, but Schmigadoon feels like a Broadway musical in a way most of the shows nominated do not.
Right. I think that each show has something to go by and it's different from each other nominee, which is fun. But for me, none of the nominees are like totally the full package. But that's sort of why I'm kind of still on the fence. Like again, I do think it's ultimately Schmigadoon for all the reasons you said, but
Yeah.
because usually when you look back on best musical of the last 12, 13 years,
Uh-huh.
the way that voters have gone have been with something with a bit of an edge. Like if it's going to be a populist musical, it has to have an edge to it. Hamilton, yes, big gigantic musical hit, but also was a very new kind of show and ultimately
Hmm.
was just so undeniable. Evan Hansen, it becoming a sensation was kind of took everybody by surprise. In a lot of ways, it is this small, intimate human musical that the Tonys really like to honor. You look at Kimberly Akimbo and Strange Loop and maybe Happy Ending. Those are the shows that they tend to go for now for Best Musical. And so you would think that that's Two Strangers, but at the same time, Schmigadoon is still like a human story set within a meta spoof. So like it is high concept, even if its ultimate
Hmm.
aim is to just like entertain. So it does have that
Yeah.
going for it. And then making the score eligible, I think, in a lot of ways will allow maybe uneducated voters to be okay with voting for it because again
Sure.
jukebox has been such a
Hit or
roadblock
miss.
for many musicals. Yeah.
Yeah. It, God, it's fascinating to me that that score is eligible since are there new songs in it?
If you were
Question
to
mark.
ask their press team, there's almost a dozen. But the truth of the matter is there are songs that I did some digging afterwards because I hadn't really watched the TV show enough to say fully, but I then listened to the soundtrack and sort of correlated it with the songs that are in the show. And for what it sounds like is I think there are two genuinely new songs that Cinco Paul wrote. And then there are
Yeah,
other songs that were in the TV show that he wrote new lyrics for, but the melody was the same.
I see. And what are your thoughts on because Cinco is the only nominated writer,
Hmm.
but the series had a writer's room. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that was developed by a group of people, written by committee, like TV shows often are.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one person getting potentially an award and certainly a nomination for what was developed by a number of people. What are your thoughts for that?
I'm
On that?
not necessarily for it, but there is a historical precedent for it of a book writer winning for a show that was ultimately a group effort. I point to Rachel Schenken winning for Spelling Bee, which famously
Sure.
began with a lot of improvisation, and a lot of the best jokes in Spelling Bee actually came from the cast. Dreamgirls famously a lot of the scenes in Dreamgirls came from improvisations from the company. Loretta
Hmm.
Devine has gone on record to say that she's the one who coined showbiz is just showbiz, and like that became a motif in the show. Chorus line as well. A lot of the material in chorus line is lifted directly from those tapes.
Straight from those tapes. Yep.
Yeah, and so there is a bit of a ick factor for me on that. I
Hmm.
think when the script works, I feel less icky. So like with Spelling Bee, I feel a little less icky because I think that script is just so good. For something like Schmigadoon, where I do find it's not quite adapted well enough for the stage. Like some of the jokes I think are kind of shoddy, and I also just don't find that the narrative of the stage show is compelling enough. It's a little too episodic for me. Like it's never
Sure.
as I point to Trey Parker, Matt Stone, who always say the best stories are this happens, but then this happens, therefore this happens. Schmigadoon is more this happens and then this happens and then this happens. And so, and which I feel like probably makes more sense in a TV show where you're coming back every 30 minutes to a new storyline. So I don't think that Cinco Paul has necessarily condensed that series to make it a fully formed musical. So I have a bit more of an ick factor about that. But but there is historical precedent for it.
Yeah. It's interesting to me, mostly because like the cast contributions of Spelling Bee were always known and talked about, but I feel like this isn't being talked about at all. That it was
Yeah,
created in a writer's room. It's just very interesting to me.
I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if I mean, I'm sure the production doesn't want to mention it too much because they have been sort of going with the whole it's Cinco Paul's brainchild. And it is like it was his idea, the TV show, and he definitely spearheaded a lot of the TV show. But maybe also it's sort of the like, well, if you know how TV works, then like you would know that it's a writer's room. So like that's not on us if you're
Right.
not aware of that, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, Titanic is having the same kind of backlash with its book right now, where members of the original companies talk about
Yes.
their lack of credit for helping develop that script.
Hmm.
Yeah,
They sure are. But
they're going everywhere.
that's the show I think wins Best Book, Titanic.
It's what I would vote for.
So yeah, so that's fascinating that they're sort of have to navigate both that and the general manager of the off-Broadway production. Um,
Hmm.
so wild.
Listen. We can always debate who wrote the book for Titanic, but there's no debate about who cooked the book for Titanic.
And that's why you go to Broadway Breakdown Live at the
Bam,
Green
bam,
Room
bam, 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 bam,
42.
bam, 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 bam.
Oh, God, that was funny. Oh, I'm
Thank you,
angry.
thank you. I've had one coffee.
Wild. I'm so sorry to all your fans with misophonia because I've been sucking down an iced tea like it's my job, but I keep trying to mute the mic so that I don't upset people too much.
We appreciate you. Listen,
Only with words.
yes, I just drown you with my words. Have you? So, actually, speaking of performances for a second, going back,
Yeah.
because I just remembered with the sort of what we call the blue chip nomination, the investment nomination. I did take to Instagram the other day, and I asked everyone like, when was the last time a twink won a Tony for performing? And it's been interesting what people consider a twink, because
Yeah.
I've learned that to many people, twink is a state of mind, much like daddy, and I'm a little more like, no, I mean like genuinely a young person. Someone under the age of 32 winning a performance Tony. And the I mean, I think Miles Frost won under the age of 30 for MJ. And then
Yes.
before Miles was Ben Platt for Evan Hansen. And so young performers can win. They just don't frequently win. It's sort of like the alleged legacy vote of they have to be part of something that is also a little too undeniable for us to vote for them.
Yes. I mean, twink is a state of mind. Um,
That's what
but
people
yeah,
were
you're
telling me.
right.
I disagree. I disagree.
Wild. You're absolutely right. You know, as I'm thinking back, and like, it's not Jared Emick.
No, I'm sorry, that's Daddy.
Huh.
Jared Emick is Daddy. Even then, he was Daddy.
I would not call him Daddy, but I would call him Twunk then.
Fine, I'll take Twunk.
Yeah. I guess you could say, in its way, Ben Platt, who never was a twink, but was young.
Yeah.
But that's the exception and not the rule. And is that because their voters or nominators think they'll get it down the line?
I think there's a little bit of that in the same way of there's notoriously a narrative that Oscars don't give Best Actor to young actors. You have to get nominated a few times and earn it. Like that's sort of the whole joke of why Timothy
Mhm.
Chalamet hasn't won yet, why it took Leonardo DiCaprio 20 years to win. I think Tonys have a little bit of that as well of
Yeah.
you need to prove to us a little bit that this isn't a fluke. And so if you are a younger performer who wins, I mean, Miles Frost is kind of the exception of he had no real Broadway experience before then, but also was the center of a bio musical that was clearly well liked. And I mean, the story goes that MJ was probably this close to beating Strange Loop for Best Musical. And ultimately the
Right.
jukebox of it all is what kept it. But I mean, even Ben Platt with Evan Hansen, he had been in the theater community for a bit at that point, had done Book of Mormon on Broadway and on the road. And so people knew that he was a dyed-in-the-wool theater kid. He was the real deal. So this star turn in Evan
Right.
Hansen, no one really thought of as a fluke. Sutton winning for Millie is both we're investing in a new ingenue, A Star is Born, but also Sutton had been in like 4 or 5 Broadway shows by that point. It wasn't a
Hmm.
fluke. It was a
Right.
crowning. Same thing with Jesse Mueller and Beautiful. It was like, no, we are investing in you, but we also know that you've had the body
Well,
of work to back
Jesse
it
had
up.
done so much and shown so much by the point of Beautiful. So
Yeah.
many different sides from Clear Day, the jazz singing Clear Day to the Into the Woods Cinderella, like
Hmm.
showing truly every side of her voice and self.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird that Jesse was able to kind of still have that narrative of new girl on the block with Beautiful while also kind of the same narrative of it's her time, you know?
Yeah. But you know what? I can't think of anybody who has appeared um, and just become a theater star who can sell shows on their name alone, short of, I guess, Audra when she first appeared.
Yeah. It's a bit of a Meryl in that respect of like when the whole thing about Meryl was when Meryl came onto the scene in film, she did as many different possible roles as she could early on. So the narrative was like, you don't have to worry about typecasting Meryl because Meryl can do anything. So when in doubt, you can just cast her. And that sort of became
Hmm.
Jesse's thing of like, Jessie Mueller can sing anything. So don't worry about, oh, will this fit her voice? Just cast her. She'll sing it.
Yeah.
Smart girl.
Yeah. And she can.
What are some other trivias we have to learn
Oh,
from Mr.
Lord.
Rozelle?
The first woman to win a Tony for writing a musical score.
Is that Betty Comden?
No.
Like
Cindy
solo win, like
Lauper. Yeah.
sorry, solo win.
Hmm.
I thought you meant like because Betty Comden did win Tonys, but
Of course
yes,
she
never
did.
on
Yeah,
her
yeah,
own.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cindy Lauper, first a solo woman to win Best Score, and then Janine Tesori, Lisa Crone, first all-female team to win score.
And where's their next musical? Because I want it.
Tesori's writing a musical right now.
Good.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot what it was, but somebody told me about it, and it was just like I was like, oh fuck, that's perfect. God, I forget. But Tesori's working on something. I don't know about Crone. I can't speak
Good.
for Lisa Crone. Do you know the
Sure.
first woman? Do you know the first woman to win Best Play at the Tonys?
Nope. I sure do not. Plays are a blind spot for me. So
Well, they're musicals before they add the songs. It's like how
right.
rosé is red wine before it's fully fermented.
Ah!
Plays are the rosés of musicals. That's another T-shirt.
Put it on a t-shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Your merch drop is going to be huge.
Stephanie's shoe is not brand new. Plays are the rosés of musicals. And everyone in New York is going to see people wearing that merch and going, the fuck?
Yeah.
But Wendy
Yeah.
Wasserstein, first female playwright to win.
Right, of
the Tony
course.
Award.
Yeah. That
Yes,
makes
I believe
sense.
Marsha Norman's the first woman to win the Pulitzer, but Wasserstein's the
Night
first
Mother?
woman to win it. For Night Mother, yes. And then I believe
Yeah.
Marsha Norman's the first solo female writer to win Best Book at the Tonys, because Comden would co-write with Green.
Yes, famously.
Yeah, famously. So, shattered glass everywhere.
That's wild to me. Yeah, I don't have much more in the way of trivia. I was just mostly looking for trends of the shows of the last 15 years that have won Best Musical. Which do you think will reappear at encores at some point, and which do you think will be forgotten to time?
So between 2011 to today, which Best
Sure.
Musical winner do I think? Okay, which Best Musical winner do I think is most likely to appear at encores, and which one do I think is most lost to time? I think Gentleman's Guide is probably the most likely to show up at encores.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but probably Banzit is the most likely to get lost to time. I don't think it's going to be completely forgotten, but I do think that it's going to be like somewhere between a Kismet and a Wonderful Town, where it's going to get done, but it's more sort of like it has its passionate fans, and then it has the people who are like, oh yeah, sure, that show.
For sure, yeah.
Would you say those are your answers as well for the Best Musical winners, or?
Yeah, as I was looking through, etc., probably if we went later, I would probably say Memphis gets lost to time forever.
Oh yes, well, if we're including 2010, then Memphis is absolutely lost to time. People aren't even really. It's already lost.
When's the last time you heard of somebody doing it?
No, I mean, I only hear people mention it. I never hear of people doing it.
I don't even hear them mention it.
It's
nice.
It's Temu Hairspray.
Yes, it is. Good for you.
Thank you.
Really got me. Temu Hairspray. Yes, correct.
I mean, also looking through the last 10, 15 years, speaking of revivals, because I think one of the more contentious races this year is revival of a musical. People not sure where it's going to go. You look at the Best Revival winners.
Yes.
And you see a trend of overall awarding bold productions of musicals that maybe are not the best musicals nominated, but are the most bold productions. So like,
sure.
What I had said, because people in their argument this year with Ragtime versus Cats is people got Cats, Jellicle Barrel is because Rocky Horror is just happy to be at the table. It's the Carrie Coon from White Lotus. And I'm just happy to be at the table. And then I would probably say that that Leslie Bibb is Ragtime, and the other one, the actress is Jellicle Ball, because she's the one who gets fucked on that trip. But so the people going, oh well, Cats is still Cats, and Ragtime is a good musical, and so I look back at each past revival winner and go, okay, well, like, was that revival of the better musical? And I think a lot of times you could say no, Sunset is not as good of a musical as Gypsy, but ends up winning. Merrily, for all of the things about it I love, I think is objectively not as good of a musical as Cabaret, but those productions, very different productions. I would say same thing with Once on This Island versus My Fair Lady. Once on This Island, I probably enjoy more than My Fair Lady, but I think My Fair Lady is like, it's planted itself as one of the great musicals of the last 100 years. Color Purple versus She Loves Me or Fiddler. Much as I love Color Purple, I think Fiddler on the Roof is a masterpiece. She Loves Me is kind of perfect. So you see this sort of trend of honoring bolder interpretations. And I wonder if we're going to continue that trend or if we're going to start swinging our way back to kind of more traditional revivals of, like, say, something like a Bette Midler and Hello Dolly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't have an answer, Robbie. I was just pitching it to you.
I would say, to me, for me, it's Cats over this production of Ragtime.
Mm-hmm.
I think this reinterpretation of Cats is brilliant, and also the original Cats won Best Musical, something Ragtime has never done. Ragtime has never won the big award, whether it's Best Musical or Best Revival with the last revival. But and this production of Ragtime is, what's good about it is very good, but what is not is like astounding.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, speaking of that, actually, sorry to interrupt you, but Sweeney Todd won Best Musical and then has had 3 different revivals to never win revival.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. I wonder if it actually hurts a show like Ragtime, like it possibly hurts Sweeney, that a lot of people hold that show in such high regard that if a production doesn't really clear the bar, it really gives them an attitude about it. Whereas something like Cats,
yes, of course it
the bar
does.
kind of look. Well, I wanted to know. Speak more on that, please.
Because with the advent of YouTube, and us being able to go back and watch that original production in its many forms, Ragtime will always be, especially that original cast, is top tier, truly top tier. And every subsequent production of it is less than. One, they're not spending the money anymore. Like this production, they sing a full ass duet about a car that's not on stage.
No, that car's at
Wheels
Salesman.
of a Dream. Yeah, exactly. So
another reason to hate
already
Scott
it's
Rudin
at
and
the
Robbie Rozelle.
disadvantage.
He stole the car from Ragtime and put it on stage in Salesman. He went backstage and he stole it.
He said, "Let me take this not Model T and put it on stage." But because likely illegal money that was spent on the original Ragtime, you saw it on stage. You don't see it in other productions of it. The last show had a golf cart in place of a car. This production doesn't even have that. And for me, the best thing going for Ragtime right now is they're using the original orchestration, and it was just huge. And a good deal of the cast is very, very good. But Cats is a full reinvention. I keep comparing this Cats and the Roundabout 1776. In this regard, I just saw you make a face, so let me qualify.
Well, for a second, I'm like, well, which Roundabout 1776? Because
correct. Yes, the most recent one, the non-male 1776. So,
Hamilton, yeah, okay,
yes, because of its that 1776 felt half-baked. Somebody had an idea, but didn't. They were making blueberry muffins and forgot to put the blueberries in. So they sprinkled a few on top, and that was the show, right? This Cats, though, is so thoroughly thought through of the categories that they're walking, translating into why is this cat here in body, in, whatever they're doing. Every element of it is thought through. And so it is a glorious reinvention of a property that came in as a spectacle, won Best Musical, won all these awards, and ran so long that it became a joke all the time, like outside of musical theater. Cats is a joke everywhere. And then to see this show that I truly thought, oh no, I'm seeing Cats. And then just jaw on the floor because the expectations, I think downtown, when I saw it, the expectations were so low because it's Cats. Like, how good can it be? even with the cast assembled, Andre DeShields, etc. Um, it was such a full reinterpretation that I was mesmerized, and I still am. I've seen it 3 times now, and it's astounding what these directors and choreographers and this cast and everybody around it have done to a property that's, oh God, 40 some years old, to make it feel like a brand new show.
Yeah.
And they have not done that to Ragtime.
No, I think some would argue you don't need to do that to Ragtime, but also, and this is not, this is more sort of me looking at the past and trying to apply it to now and seeing, because it's not every reinvention gets awarded. As you said, some reinventions, like the most recent 1776, it's not just, oh, you did something new. It's you have to do something new and follow through and
Give it
make it.
a point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, and make it fully realized. And I do think usually when you look at winners of this category, that is where they go. There are a few exceptions, and then with those exceptions, there's always a caveat. So like I would say the last traditional revival that won was like Hello Dolly with Bette Midler. And in a lot of ways that was kind of a reinvention because we were doing more of these pared down revivals, and it became so much about reinventing the wheel. And Bette Midler's Dolly was, well, what if we just gave you opulence and understood what our assignment was? And there was a joy bomb about all of that.
Yeah.
Pajama Game winning over Sweeney Todd, I know a lot of people look at it sort of a side eye. Sweeney Todd was its own reinvention of that musical, but I would argue a lot of people were divided on what John Doyle did with Sweeney Todd, and also because there was such a love for that material. It's like, what do you mean it's set in an asylum? What do you mean they're all playing the instruments? Like, I don't love that. And in a lot of ways, Pajama Game was a genuine revival. Everyone thought, oh, that dusty old Golden Age musical, we just saw that at Encore, is like, it's fine, it's not exciting. And God bless them at Roundabout, they made that show sexy and exciting. And that
Kelly was
fun.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's hard to think of a revival winning that seems so safe, that won over something that was more titillating,
Electric.
you know? Yeah, there was people thought maybe the Hugh Jackman Music Man could win over Company because, oh, it was such a big hit. And ultimately, no, they gave a lot of love to Company because even though there were not everything fully worked in that production, so much of it did work. And it was such a big swing. The fact that it could hit so well as it did was astounding. People were divided about, as we like to call it, Wokelahoma, but it did ultimately win over a more kind of by the numbers Kiss Me Kate. And it's not about what's the best material. It's about who does the best with the material that they have.
Right.
And that's the same as true as also of revival of a play, I suppose. Revival of a play is interesting to me because sometimes it does feel like they're rewarding the play itself and not the production.
Sure.
But it's never overly egregious. It's more like boils down to, okay, we've got 2 great revivals here. We're going to pick the one that is ultimately the better play. And that becomes its own discussion. Like last year, Eureka Day winning, part of me wonders if that's because of the 4 options we had. We had 2 great plays, which was Our Town and Romeo and Juliet, productions that a lot of people didn't really enjoy. Then you had Eureka Day and Yellowface, which were much better productions. And maybe they went with ultimately the show that they thought was the better play overall. Who's to say? I don't know. But that's sort of like where my mind goes.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly fair. What is this season? Is it going to be Death of a Salesman?
I think so. I think it's down to Salesman and Oedipus. And I ultimately think Salesman's going to win, A, because it's still running. B, it is a lovely production and has the reviews to back it up and the nominations, and is like fucking making hand over fist right now at the box office, which is, I don't think any of us really expected.
Yeah.
And so I just think that there's a narrative behind that. If Salesman doesn't win, it is ultimately going to be that people are not quite ready yet to
reward.
Root in with open arms. Yeah. But also, like, the Tonys have proven that ultimately they don't care about online backlash. They're like, we're going to vote for who we want, and have done so. So we'll see.
Yeah, boy. That's, I guess, to me, the plays are more fascinating this year than the musicals, which is,
Mhm.
as a musical theater girly, makes me a little sad. But uh, yeah, it's also interesting to me that Ragtime got a number of acting nominations and likely wins, and Cats has won,
Mhm.
uh, which I actually think is the winner in that category, Andre de Shields. But all those individuals did not get nominations. That's interesting, and
Yeah.
I'm interested at how that will bear out.
Ragtime has the benefit of being eligible in multiple performance categories, whereas Cats just has the two that it's eligible for.
Right.
And I
Sure.
think Ragtime also has the benefit of, while it's an abundance of characters, every character has minimum two songs and minimum a scene where they get to shout about the indignities of this country, which is enough
Hmm.
for, well, except for Sarah. Sarah basically dies believing that the country is good, which was silly of her, but we don't want to kick a dead girl while she's down. But the rest of the cast of Ragtime has a moment where they're like, back to before, success, wheels of a dream, this country. And I think that's a lot. That's enough. That's enough for nominators to go, yes, yes, yes. And that's enough material. And Cats genuinely is like everybody gets a number, and
Hmm.
it's much more of a genuine ensemble piece. And so I can understand, my belief, my hot take is I would imagine like 3 or 4 members of Jellicle Ball found their way onto multiple nominators' ballots. And it was just ultimately spread a little too thin that none of them could crack the 5. I would imagine like Sidney James Harcourt and Junior LaBeija probably were like at number 6 and 7, or 7 or 8. I would
Hmm.
imagine that Tempest probably was like right at 6. Emma Sophia was probably like at 8, where, you know, like they were showing up, but they just needed 10% more push to get there. And because Jellicle Ball isn't about a star vehicle for any of them, that was maybe like what hurt them. But I've also said I think that Andre could have a path to victory, not just the legacy of it all, but also being the lone performance nominee is a bit representative of the company in that respect.
Yes, but the fact that the man is still walking
And
and
hitting the notes that he's hitting,
dancing
my
down
God.
that stage, yeah, and holding them forever, like there, that's a that's a legacy, Tony.
Yeah, I think that if he wins, it is kind of a legacy Tony. But again, tied to, if he does win, I do think it is tied to the very strong possibility of Jellicle Ball winning and being part of a moment into movement. Like if it, I think I would call Andre winning a legacy win if he were like, I don't know, if he ended up being the narrator in Rocky Horror and he's like that their one win, then that's when I'd be like, that is
Huh.
purely a legacy win. Nothing else. You cannot convince me otherwise. Jellicle Ball, there's others similar to Stephanie J. Block. Like you need 2 or 3 other bullet points behind the legacy to fully push for that, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. I think Rachel Dratch is
Yeah.
one nomination away though from getting a legacy win herself. She's a 2-time nominee now.
Yeah, and gosh, she's wonderful in Rocky Horror.
I think she's so good in that
Wonderful.
show. Okay, Robbie, this has been delightful. I think it's time that we start wrapping things up. You and I are both busy bitches with things to get to.
Oh my God, yes. Sorry for my lack of energy today, y'all.
No one knows the difference. I will
Wow.
edit this all together. I know. You spell cop like C-U-N-T. That's how you spell cop like.
Yes. The
Robbie,
usual
where can people
spelling.
usual spelling? Where can people find you if you want them to find you?
Diva Robbie on all platforms that are worthy. Or RobbieRoselle.com. And my semi-hit solo album is on Spotify.
Fantastic. Okay. Uh, guys, we are going to take a quick break and head into our post-episode interview with the star and the creator of Blood Love, Miss Carey Renee Sharp, talking a little bit about the genesis of the show, her journey coming back to performing and writing after years away from it, and where her show is heading next. But yeah, stay tuned for our interview with Carey there. And that's it for now. Thank you so much, Robbie. Let's take a peek.
Billy, I beg to differ with you. How do you mean? You're the top. Yeah. You're an arrow color. You're the top. You're a Coolidge dollar. You're the nimble tread of the feet of Fred Astaire.
Hi, Carey. Thank you for coming to Broadway Breakdown.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So you just closed Blood Love, a show that you co-wrote and starred in.
Yeah.
Amazing feat. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit sort of about how the show came to be? Well, first of all, for anyone not in New York who wasn't in the scene for it, can you give us like your elevator pitch and then how you came to write it?
Sure. Well, Blood Love it's a pop opera. So it is short, 84 minutes, I think is where we landed in this production, mainly musical
Mm-hmm.
about vampires, but really focusing on my character, Valerie, she's actually like the queen of hell who has
Mm-hmm.
come to Earth to have a human experience. And it kind of became, by default, the very first vampire. And now she has been on Earth for 1,000 years, is starting to feel a little bit of an existential crisis and was longing for something more in her life and just kind of figuring out what's the next step for her. And she meets a catalyst, which is this rock star Anzik, who kind of reawakens something in her and her love of music. It just kind of reminds her of who she is. So yeah, and there's some really lovely relationships in it between her and the devil and her two best friend vampires, and then this rock star that she meets. So there's kind of these different angles of relationships that she's navigating.
And how is it that this musical came to be? That like, what inspired you to create it, along with your co-writer Drew DeCaro? DeCaro?
DeCaro.
Great.
I opened a theater in Wisconsin in 2018. It was an old historic theater that we had renovated. It was a very interesting space because it's not typical theater. It's kind of more of like a auditorium style. So we were able to do all kinds of really creative, interesting things there. And what we did that kind of inspired this specifically is we did a really high-end vampire ball, like a black tie vampire ball.
Mm-hmm.
That had a little bit of, it wasn't a murder mystery, but like that's the best thing I can think of. It's sort of like a party with a plot line. And we had original music, not written by me, but written by another friend of mine, and a fashion show. And so it was this whole event, and it was very well received. And so I was like, I really want to keep working on this and turn it into more of a show. And I just had the inclination to start writing the music myself. I wanted to do it myself. And I hadn't written music professionally ever, and I hadn't written music for a very long time, really, period. So I met Drew through another friend of ours, the original Cleo in the show, who also wrote some of the original music with us. And yeah, we just started writing songs together, and we had like a loose idea of what we wanted the core of the show to be. We knew we wanted this female vampire protagonist, and we knew that she was going to have some sort of like love affair with this human rock star that she meets. But we didn't really have like the whole plot line fleshed out yet. We kind of just started writing our own concept album of songs that we knew would be in this world. And yeah, went from there. And I would say about half of the songs in the show are from like the original songs that we wrote.
So then how did you go about from writing this in Wisconsin to having this become an off-Broadway production? Like, what was the trajectory for you? First of all, how long was this trajectory? And then where did it go from there?
Yeah, well, it's been 5.5 years. So
Mhm.
we started writing in August of 2020. And I mean, as you know, I'm sure quite well, theater development takes time. And we really had no idea what we're doing. I don't really come from this world, and Drew does not either, although he's very immersed in the music scene in LA, but he's more of a typical songwriter producer for like, artists. Not
Mhm.
He's never worked, he hadn't even really seen that many musicals when we started working together because he's more of a rock, pop sort of producer. So we really didn't know what we were doing. But we just kind of, Drew and we had a very small group of us that we kept it really close to the vest, and we just kept developing workshops. We'd do performances for like friends and family just to kind of get things put together and like kind of figure out the storyline and where all the music needed to go. And so we did 2 workshop performances at my theater in Wisconsin, one in 21 and one in 22. And then we did a full production in Los Angeles in fall of 2024.
Mhm.
And then we gave the show a major overhaul all of last year. Pretty much we spent like a whole year like really overhauling it, and realizing that we wanted to do it in more of a traditional theater, such as what we did at Theater 555. So that process led us to starting rehearsals in January and where we are now. But we have done basically 4 full productions now.
And were you Valerie this entire time while you were writing it?
Yeah. There was one workshop that Carey Renee Fuller, who's Alphaba right now, and
Mhm.
Wicked, we were just doing a table workshop, but she did the part so I could just be on writer's side, because usually I'm doing both, which is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, usually I'm kind of like, okay, we are going to start rehearsals now, and I'm just a performer, and I really try to like not have to do any writing in that world, and I do have to a little bit, but it's like minimal. But anytime that I know we have to do a lot of writing, I'm just like not. That's really all I'm focusing on is writing.
Yeah, I was about to say it must be difficult to try to be performing a number during a workshop, and then at some moment you have a mental beat where you go, "Oh, we need to clock that for a later writing session." But no, I'm in the moment. I'm acting. I'm acting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a little tough. And thankfully, I've got a couple really wonderful, I guess I'll call them assistants, but, just people that are working on that I can kind of be like, flag that, or, they'll kind of like take notes for me so I can sort of stay in it while I
Mhm.
can just like quick, get my ideas out. But yeah, it is definitely difficult to do both.
Oh yeah. I mean, and also as you said, you kind of hinted at this, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. I mean, you have musical experience. You played
Yeah.
violin starting at 3. You're a
Yeah.
writer, but then you took time away from all of that. You went into nursing and nurse practitioning. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm professional. I do my job. I do my research.
No, that's great.
So what brought you back to music then? Was there a moment, or was it just like you missed it and you're like, and I remember being quite good at it, so I'm going to get back to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it never like really left my life. Obviously, I love music and just consuming music and singing in the shower. It's not like I didn't, you don't totally put music away in your life. But I was a pediatric nurse practitioner in the pediatric ICU. So I was working with like very sick children
Hmm.
for 12 years. I did that for 12 years and I was really burned out. I mean, I'm sure this doesn't sound surprising, but it's very, very sad work and emotionally, physically, mentally exhausting. I was just burned out and I just needed to step away from the field. Um, and in that time is when I'd opened this theater. So it just kind of, I was producing a bunch of other acts. I was bringing a lot of just singers in, but also we would do these kind of like dinner theater shows and we were just doing all kinds of stuff but I was just on the producer end. And I just kept like, everything we were bringing wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I was like, I feel like I can create the thing that I'm looking for.
Hmm.
And again, so we started with this party and then I was like, I want to write the music though. Like I want to really make this thing a show. So yeah, I did, but it was some baby steps in the beginning. And I'm very grateful to Drew and Aaron and Snake. That was my original. We were almost like a band. Like the four of us were like writing for the first year or 2 years maybe. The four of us were mainly writing together. So they really like helped me get my confidence in this world. But yeah, it took a minute. It wasn't like instantaneous and I didn't even play the violin again in the show until 2022
Hmm.
because I hadn't played violin for at least not regularly for 20 years.
Wow.
So I was quite good in high school. I'd had a scholarship to go to music school and I just didn't want to do that. So I was quite good when I was younger. And I will never get back to that level. I know that because it would take a level of discipline and practice that I don't have time for. I don't really have the desire I don't need to play at that level. So it's okay. But it was really hard coming back to it and just being like, wow, I used to be so good and I am so rusty.
Yeah.
But I've worked hard and I do play quite a bit in the show. And so it's come together, but it's taken a few years.
I mean, yeah, I completely understand that. I mean, but then this is your first piece of musical theater writing then. Is that correct? With
As
Blood?
yeah,
Yeah,
professionally, yeah. Mhm. I
professionally,
actually
yeah.
did a
So
bit in high school and in college, but just for fun, just casual.
what has been some of the biggest learning tools you've acquired by writing this musical as a now official musical theater writer, professional musical theater writer you are now?
Yeah, I mean, writing is so even though I wasn't writing musical theater, I was writing a ton.
Mm.
I have 2 graduate degrees. I was halfway through a doctorate. So obviously writing in that world is very different than writing musical theater, but there is just something about like the skill of writing that you just get better at the more that you do it. And I don't think that all that writing, although it wasn't exactly what I'm doing now, of course that was helpful. And the other thing that Drew and I both are just avid readers. So we can pull from so many different things. We just have that experience. And so I've learned that like all of that you can bring to the writing process when you're creating something more creative, all of that is very, very helpful. And I think it's been why we've been successful, even though neither one of us have like written a musical before.
Yeah. And then with this run in New York,
Mm.
what has been some of the lessons you've learned from that, both as a writer and as a performer?
Well, this was very hard. I mean, I can say we're done now, so I can
Mhm.
say this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. You know, we knew coming to New York that we were opening ourselves up to both all the opportunity of New York and the people that are there that can help us bring this to the next level, which we certainly achieved. But you also then have all eyes on you, and you know you're opening yourself up to like the critique and criticism of the very professional theater world. I mean, obviously New York is the hub of theater really for the world. So and so there was a lot of good that came with that, and a little bit of bad. But I knew that was coming. So, you know, I learned that I can do it. Like I learned that I can work really hard and achieve this. Again, it wasn't like on day one. It's not like I was perfect on our first preview, and I can say that it's okay. And I think that's okay. I mean, there seems to be somewhat of an unforgiving nature but it's just insane to me that you're expected to have a fully polished product and a fully polished performer on day one here. It's just that was difficult for me to like feel like I wasn't given any like grace to like grow into the performing of it.
Sure. Yeah.
And also just like we were making major changes like all shows do during performances. And so, you know, just I wish that process was a little more protected, if that makes sense. I understand why it is what it is, but at the same time, it just seems a little unfair that the preview process is critiqued at the same level as like the show, you know, last weekend, which is phenomenal, you know, but was it the same on preview day one? No.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
That is the nature of the beast. And it is surprising how many people don't recognize that over and over and over again. But that's where you kind of have to jinx monsoon it and like water off a duck's back. It's like, you know what? I have to focus on my process because I know I'm going to get there, and just everyone else will see it at some point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also just like the stamina it takes to do, you know, multiple shows a week. And then, as you said, like you're making changes. So you have a foot in both sides of the door. Like it's hard, but it's physically hard. It's mentally hard. It's emotionally hard. So believe me, I understand. I sympathize. Envy a little bit because I love attention myself, but I don't envy you completely. It's definitely a difficult time. So now that the run is over, can you give us a little insight into where Blood Love is heading next?
The other thing, well, just after, as you say that, like, I think the other thing that is a little different about me, and I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit, I guess, is that I really am like a writer artist. Like I don't even really consider myself like a performer. Like there is no world in which I am auditioning for other shows. I have no interest in doing that. That's why I didn't do it. I don't want to. So I am like the reason. So I don't. The intention actually makes me uncomfortable in a lot of ways. I like to do it. I love to perform. I want to like create art and music, but the attention does make me a little bit uncomfortable. And that's another thing that I'm trying to like get more comfortable with. Yeah, I don't love that aspect of it.
You're like Piper Perabo and Coyote Ugly. It's like I love the writing and I love performing my songs. It's just the people out there that I need to go away.
A little bit. I mean, I appreciate the love and like the support, but it just, yeah, I'm certainly not doing it for the attention. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
I understand that. I think that's absolutely understandable. But moving forward, can you give us any insight onto where Blood Love is heading next?
I think we all pretty much unanimously agree that we think London is going to be a good spot for us next. It's going to take a minute for us to move it over there, and we just wrapped on Sunday, so I think we're all just taking a minute to reset. But I'm already heading back in 3 weeks to go to the Tonys, actually, and I'm going to meet with my team when I'm out there and just kind of start dreaming what the next iteration is going to look like. But I think it'll evolve. We'll make some changes, but I think where we're at right now is like a really good starting point. Like I think this production was incredible, and we will refine it, but I think we're not so far off.
No, that's wonderful. Have you been able to perform or go to London in the past?
I haven't performed in London, but I've been to London many times. We were just there in December, right before I came out to New York, to just kind of start looking at theaters and meeting with some teams out there. Because thankfully, a lot of our teams have offices in London, because obviously there's so much theater that's going between London and New York. So we already have some good people out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, congrats. Yeah. I mean, I love London. I would go there every other week if I could afford it and I had the energy. It's so wonderful over there. Carey, this has been wonderful. Are there any projects in addition to Blood Love that you're working on that you can sort of tease us about?
Sure. I mean, I've been so focused on this show, and Drew and I have been talking for years about our we get asked a lot, what are you guys going to write next? And we have 2 ideas that we are going to now officially, we already have the sessions in the book. We are going to start writing our next show for real. I've already done some outlining to just kind of like have some scaffolding when we go into the writing room. So we're going to do it a little differently this time. We learned a lot. And I think that our show wouldn't be what it is if we wouldn't have gone through that somewhat messy process. But I think that this time we can be a little bit more organized in our approach. But yeah, it's an ensemble piece, but I'm writing a part for myself in it because I like to be in it. I think it helps me like write from a perspective that feels real. But yeah, this one's gonna be more musical theater and more fun. It's not gonna be quite as, our show has some heaviness to it. But yeah, this one's gonna be more fun.
I'm down. I'm excited to hear about it. Yeah. So where can people find you if you want them to find you online or learn more about your material?
Yeah, well, you can go to our website, it's just bloodlove.com. There will be some information on there, even though now we're not selling tickets or anything. And then my Instagram is Carey Renee Music, and my name is spelled weird. So Carey is Carey, Renee.
We'll make sure to spell it correctly on here so people can find you appropriately. Well, thank you so much, Carey. As many of our listeners know, we close out with a nice Broadway diva as we, wrap up the episodes. Who would you like to close out today's episode?
Well, my favorite Broadway diva has become a dear friend of mine, and she is amazing as Elphaba right now. And she's the one person that, let me step out of the part entirely so I could be on the writer's side. So Carey Renee Fuller is just incredible. She's a force, and I love her dearly. So.
All right, well, let's close out with some Carey then. Yeah, amazing. We will see you guys next week. I believe that this will be the episode before our final predictions for the Tony Awards. So we'll see you guys next week for that episode. And thank you, Carey. And take it away, Carey. Bye.